Hey guys, welcome back to Not Your College Life with Lisa Beals, and I'm your host, Lisa Beals. This is episode 31. I'm the Midwestern mom slash college administrator who already went through the college experience myself and put two kids through school as well, and realized that we administrators, we don't make it easy for y'all. So that's where I'm coming in. I don't have it within my capacity to change how universities choose to interact with you, so I'm here to bridge the gap for you and help so you can focus on transitioning your teenager into an emerging adult and yourself to an empty nester. So let's get right to it. In this episode, I'm going to talk about your kids, and I'm going to tell you that they're good. You're going to wonder, you're going to worry, because they're going to give you the text message that they're sad, that they're lonely, that they're depressed, that there's nothing to do, that they made a bad decision, that they want to come home. Because you're the safe spot. You're the one that they can go to and whine and cry. And do you ever see the movies, and this is so real, you guys. This is so real. This happened to me, where you're brave and you're strong and you're holding it all together until you get on the phone with their mom or the dad to tell them what happened. And then you just fall into a puddle on the floor. Who's not done that? Even as an adult. I can't tell you. Well, probably the last time that happened to me was when my son passed away. My husband and I knew the things. He died at home, and we knew all the things that you needed to do, right? We needed to call the pediatrician and see if he would notify the coroner. I didn't want to take him. I didn't want to call 911. I didn't want to call 911. I didn't want to take him to the emergency room. He was gone. I wanted it to be as non-dramatic as possible. We knew we needed to tell our daughters what was going on. We knew we needed to let the funeral home know. We knew we needed to let our parents know. And I was like out of body, I guess, when I called the pediatrician, let him know what was going on. Can he just call time of death and we can handle it at home? And I had my stuff together until I had to pick up the phone and call my mom and tell my mom that he was gone. And I couldn't. It took everything in me to say the words before I fell apart. And I should have, looking back, I probably should have asked to speak to my dad, because it was like 5:30 in the morning. And she screamed. I laugh. It's not funny. She screamed when I told her the news. And I'm sure she scared the crap out of my father. Scared the crap out of him because she screamed in bed on the phone. But yeah, you hold it together until you got to tell your parents. And that's just what our kids do, right? And this year, #COVID, you can't even if you lived within driving distance, it's really not probably the best idea for a day trip or a weekend home, because you don't want, if they're lucky enough to be on campus, you don't want to do something that might compromise their ability to stay. So it's going to take all of your inner strength just to keep it at home, not to let them come home, not to reach out and give them a hug and want to bring them home and tell them, fine, you don't have to do it. I'll make it all better. It's just what we do. So I want to share with you some perspective. I want to share with you some reality. I want to offer what you can do to help them get through it. And then I want to share with you some things that I found that might make you feel better in the end. Okay? So first things first is perspective, right? On my Pinterest board, I I pinned some things for you to take a look at that might help as well. But Phyllis Goldberg is a psychologist. I can't remember what. I think it was probably Grown and Flown, if I remember right. This was a Grown and Flown article. And Phyllis says, listen to what they have to say about how they're feeling before offering solutions, right? Because sometimes they just want that ear. So the first thing is to remind yourself, give yourself perspective. Change is uncomfortable in the best scenarios, right? That's just how I guess that's how you define it. You don't do something new and not feel a little discomfort. You don't move away from home. You don't start college. You don't do all of these first without it being uncomfortable. But being uncomfortable doesn't mean it's deadly, right? And I say this tongue in cheek. I don't say it with any disrespect because of the season we're in with COVID. But just being uncomfortable with something new in itself is not the end of the world. It's a feeling. We've talked about this before. It's a feeling. Play it through, right? Remind them that this is very similar from grade school to junior high to high school. Have you ever moved into a new neighborhood? This is not a new phenomenon. Remind your kids of that. This is not going to be the last time that they're going to feel uncomfortable because of change, because they're going to graduate and they're going to go to grad school, or they're going to get a job, or they're going to move again. This is what we have, is change. So just remind them that they've done it before, they'll do it again, and they'll survive it. But also remind them that we are living in a pandemic right now. So everything has a little bit greater feeling. They're more intensified because we've been living in a world of change and unknown for the last 6 months. And it is emotionally and physically exhausting. So it's okay to remind them that, yeah, they might be blowing it out of proportion, but don't disregard their feelings. They're legitimate. They're allowed to feel whatever they feel. But just offer them perspective. It may feel really bad right now, but are you making it feel worse because of COVID? Because you don't have a control over everything else? It's possible. And remind them, they have made new friends before. They didn't forget how to make friends. They didn't. It might be a little more challenging now, but they can and they will. They just need to keep going. As Dory says, just keep swimming. Okay, so then number 2 tip is reality. Reality check. It's going to be different. But this was a very intentional decision, right? You're not dragging them to school kicking and screaming. You didn't pick the institution. They did. Now, you probably had to sign off on it because you're probably paying the bill, but isn't this what they wanted? And I say that not for you to rub their nose in it, but just a reminder. This is what you've been working for. This is what you wanted. This was the plan. And that's okay. The pandemic won't last forever. I know it feels like it. Mid-March, when stuff hit here in mid-America, in the Midwest, mid-March, feels like about 15 years ago and 15 minutes ago, all at the same time. I don't know how that works, but yeah, it won't last forever. I keep reminding myself of that. This is not the first pandemic the world has seen. And then there are connections to be made. But it's going to be up to them. It's going to be up to them to make those connections. It's not personal connections are not one-sided. They're just not. So if they want to engage with others, then they're going to either have to reach out their hand to be the initiator or the receiver. Okay, so now what can you do? First, just be an ear. As Phyllis, the psychologist, said, sometimes they just want you to listen. They just want you to be heard. They just want to be heard. Some people are verbal processors, and you're the safe person that they can talk through all of the craziness that's happening in their brain. They can talk and process that with you because they know you're safe, and they don't need you to do anything but listen. Can I tell you, and maybe I've already told you this, I have learned when my girls call me to be that ear. I've learned. I recognize it. Sometimes it takes me a couple minutes to pick up on what they're doing. But when I realize that they've called me just to be an ear so they can verbally process whatever they're dealing with, y'all, I put my phone on speakerphone and I'll just get busy doing whatever I was already doing. Because generally I'm at work when they call. And so instead of saying, I got to call you back, because I know they don't really need me, I'm going to put it on speakerphone and I'm just going to get busy. And I'll throw an occasional, really? Okay. What do you think about that? They've got to know. They've got to know that I'm doing this, right? They've got to know. And I have been honest at times. I will tell them, I can't give you my undivided attention right now. I'm sorry, but I'm here to listen. So go ahead. And it's worked. It's worked. So it does take practice, you guys. It does take practice because I'm the mom and it's my job to make it better. But these are the situations where you just need to listen. You just need to let them unload it and resist the temptation to interject what they need to do. Here's what you need to do to fix it. Don't. It's hard. That's hard. Okay, so instead of telling them what to do to fix it, if it's just not a vent session, if it's really a problem they're trying to figure out, instead of telling them what to do, ask questions. Okay, so you're feeling lonely. What are you doing about that? Okay, well, what have you tried? Okay, well, who have you connected with? What are you doing? Why? Why not? How are you feeling about your choices? What else can you do? Now, I want to point out, I did not add the question, what can I do? Because I don't want to be the fixer. I want them to learn to fix themselves. So don't ask it. Don't say, what can I do? These are things that you're posing questions to them. Okay? And then sometimes they just need to be reminded that they can do hard things. Just like I need reminded and you need reminded. Because when it gets tough and you get tired, you forget. You forget that you've done hard things and you just want to curl up in a ball and watch Netflix all day. So remind them of their track record. Point it out. Make sure that they hear you say it and acknowledge, yes, Mom, you're right. I have done X, Y, and Z. You're right. You're right. And then the last piece of that, as far as what you can do, is talk through that worst case scenario. We've talked about that in other podcasts, but it's, okay, what's the worst case scenario? All right. And what would you do if that happened? Okay. And what would happen? And then what would you do? So play each worst case step out to help their brain understand that they can figure it out. They can. They have all the answers that they need inside of themselves. They just need that exercise of walking it through. Okay, so what I want to show you now, let me find it. I want to show you on the kids page. And I'm not in a ton of them, but I'm in enough that I can see, I can get a pulse on how the students are doing. So this is the official page run by the University of the students for the incoming class. Here's a post. If there are people on here that actually like to do stuff, let's be friends. Here's my Snapchat, here's my Instagram. That was posted yesterday, 24 responses, people engaging. Here's another one, 13 hours ago. Haley says, I'm jumping on the bandwagon. I've seen many people having problems making friends, and I'm in the same boat. I made some friends during BGR, which is the Purdue orientation week, but we don't talk much anymore. They've probably gone their kind of different directions. She shared a little bit of her interests. Who wants to hang out? Here's my Snapchat and Instagram handle. 8 responses. 8 responses in 12 hours. Here's one posted last week. Anybody else struggling to make friends? I didn't get to go to BGR. I'm struggling. I'm kind of awkward. 53 people reached out to her. 53. I've been struggling to make friends. This was just yesterday. These are things I like to do. Here's my Snapchat. 11 responses. Who likes Starbucks? I'm new. I've never had Starbucks. Who can teach me about Starbucks? 61 people engaged with her. Who wants to be part of my hammock group? You guys, this was yesterday, and there are 15 people who want to be in the hammock group. Who wants to play tennis? 23 people reached out to play tennis yesterday. Okay, I could go on and on. This is not unique to Purdue. I would guess it's not unique to the Midwest. There are students out there that want to hang out with your student. None of us is that much of a unique snowflake where someone else is not going to have something in common with us. So, if your student is feeling lonely and disconnected and depressed, and it's not clinical, trust your mama gut when you know that it's gone into a clinical depression where they need professional help. If this is just a transition period, there are a ton of examples that I could give you where if your student just starts with, I'm a little lonely, I could use a friend, I could use someone to hang out with, who wants to go hang in their hammock with me? Post something. There are tons of groups out there. There's university-run groups, there's interest groups on Facebook. It's everywhere. All your student has to do is just a little eensy step. And they'll be fine. And you'll be fine. All right, friends, I hope this was helpful. If you know of another mom or if your student could benefit from hearing this, share this with them. I would really appreciate it. Still waiting for the iTunes review. I haven't seen one yet. Are they that hard? I don't think so. I've done them before. I would really appreciate it. Seriously. You might. No, I don't have your address, so I couldn't send you a thank you card. But I totally would, you guys. I totally would send you a personal thank you for anyone that offered me a review on iTunes. Anyway, I'm at Not Your College Life with Lisa Beals on Facebook and Instagram, and I do have a YouTube channel. So if you want to see my face and the ridiculous facial expressions and hand gestures that I use because I could not talk if I had to sit on my hands or if I lost my arms in an accident, yeah, I'd have to learn how to talk again. Anyway, it was wonderful touching base with you again, and I'll be in touch again next week. Take care.